Hello, I'm Savita, and I would like to do a short presentation on medical ethics and how cinema is helpful in teaching it to medical students. Well, first, what is ethics? Ethics are moral principles. It is a branch of science dealing with what is the proper course of action for individuals interacting with each other. Essentially, it is the study of human endeavors. It is the study of right and wrong. As such, medical ethics is a branch of ethics pertaining to doctor-patient relationship while practicing medicine. When medicine asks what can be done, ethics puts forth the question what should be done. Needless to say that everything we could do to the patient does not necessarily mean that they all should be done to the patient. So, let's quickly review what the ethical principles are. Autonomy. Autonomy is the principle of respecting patients' own decisions about their own health. Non-maleficence is to do no harm. Beneficence is to promote the best interests of the patients. Justice is to distribute medical benefits fairly and equally without discriminating against any particular group. Accountability is answerability. Fidelity is keeping the promises. Veracity is being honest. Professionalism is the skill or behavior expected from a professional. Having reviewed what bioethical principles are, let's sit back and understand why should bioethics be taught to students? What makes it so special to be learned as a subject? Teaching bioethics is important as it helps to enhance doctor-patient relationship. It also will help the future doctors to become a good doctor, a better doctor, and empathize the patients. Moreover, movies help accomplishing this aim very quickly. There are various modalities to teach bioethics to medical students. Best of them include one-way communication, aka the didactic method, two-way communication, also called the Socratic method, verbal or face-to-face communication, audio-visual aids, group discussion, panel discussion, and so on. Out of this, our main focus is on audio-visual aids. It uses various tools such as drama, skit, multimedia film, pictures, graphics, cinema, documentaries, and so on. Out of these, let's take a look at the method of teaching, that is, the cinema. Cinema was analyzed in a study called the SOTIF College Study. SOTIF is the acronym given to the spheres of ethics teaching using film. The cinema tool used here is the film of Tuskegee syphilis study. A comparison between text triggers and film triggers to teach the bioethical principles is drawn. It consisted of student volunteers from New York State University at Abu Dhabi, who answered the provided questionnaires after being exposed to either of the two trigger groups about the Tuskegee syphilis study. 41 volunteers underwent the film trigger, whereas 42 of others underwent a text trigger. Results were quite fascinating. Results were worked out using ANOVA, and the mean scores of both the text and the film exposure groups were compared. The total domain of interest in film exposure group had the mean score of 7.3, whereas the text triggered group got a mean score of 5.1, corrected to plus or minus 4.4, out of a maximum score of 32. Clearly, the film exposure volunteers were able to give a better performance than a text-triggered group. Yet another study, named the Academic Medicine, was conducted at Texas University of Health Science Center, College of Medicine. It used three groups of volunteers. One group of 48 volunteers who were trained for a series of lectures amounting to 1 hour in each session. A second group for an equivalent A second group, a first group of 48 volunteers trained using a series of film discussions amounting to 1 hour a day for 3 months in a row. A second group of 37 volunteers received twice as much as the period of duration used in the first group, and a third group of 29 volunteers had no film exposure at all, meaning they didn't have any basic knowledge about the bioethical principles at all. Results were quite conclusive. They were based on p-values. The values were drawn out to be 0.002, 0.008, and 0.109 respectively in the three groups. The results in the film exposure group were statistically significant, as they produced a reasonable increase in the film exposure groups when compared to the controls, as both the first and the second group performed well, as seen by their scores in the post-test sessions. Clearly, the study did not have any selection bias, which brings us to a much clearer fact that movies as tools in teaching bioethics has its own significance. Well, this is a cover of the movie Miss Ever's Boys, which portrayed Turkey's syphilis study. Let's watch a short clip from the movie.
Respond to syphilis. The benefit of
if they were white, Miss Evers, if they were white, would these men have been treated as they were? You should know better than anyone.
Yes, I do, Senator. If they had been white, your public health service would never have agreed to do this study in the first place. They wouldn't have dared. If they had been white, you congressmen wouldn't have voted every year for 40 years. Respond to syphilis.
So, the ethical issues addressed in the watched video this clip clearly portrays the importance of beneficence and veracity. The researchers who were performing this study have failed to act according to the best interest of the patients. In addition, they have not disclosed appropriate information regarding the availability of a new drug for treating syphilis. Okay, now let's take a quick look at another clip from the movie The Doctor.
You have spent a lot of time learning the Latin names for the diseases your patients might have. Now it's time to learn something simpler about them. Patients have their own names.
Well, this clip emphasizes on the fact that learning a patient's name is very important, because learning a patient name will help us converse with them very easily and to empathize them in a better way. Well, hence the results are in favor of using cinema in teaching bioethics. I would like to coin it a term called cinemedication, which is basically cinema in medical education. Since the reign of the king till the reign of the teachers, movies can surely portray stories and would always strive to be a great learning tool. Thank you.